Good evening. My name is Kathleen Brown, Chair of the Virginia Beach School Board, and I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please announce the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Present in the school board chamber are Chair Brown, Vice Chair Weems, Mr. Culpepper, Mr. Cummings, Ms. Dwyer, Ms. Felton, Dr. Green, Ms. Melnick, and Ms. Rogers.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance as you are able. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, the school board has the pleasure of recognizing students and staff for their achievement. It's actually our favorite part of the meeting. And we want to thank all the parents and community members and employees and staff who have come out to help us celebrate. We do ask that you remain seated until all of the students tonight have been recognized. Thank you. Mr. Culpepper.
Our first recognition is for the 2026 Virginia District of Columbia Military Youth of the Year. Please welcome Alexander Rivers from Bayside High School. In February, Alexander was named Oceana's Local Military Youth of the Year due to his dedication and commitment to the community. After a competitive and extensive process, Alex was selected as the Virginia District of Columbia Military Youth of the Year in March. He presented his winning speech at a celebratory reception in Charlottesville and also received a $5,000 college scholarship. Provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Virginia. He will now go on to compete for the Southwest Regional title in Atlanta in June, and then hopefully on to the Nationals. Congratulations, Alexander. Well done.
Our next recognition is for the National Safety Patrol Award. Please welcome Noah Mason of Kempsville Meadows Elementary School. Noah, I'm so proud to read this. Noah Mason earned both the AAA Tidewater Safety Patrol of the Year and the AAA National Safety Patrol of the Year for his leadership as Safety Patrol Captain at Kempsville Meadows Elementary. He selects safety patrols of the month, promotes deserving peers, and upholds high expectations by addressing concerns constructively with administration. Noah, who is in 5th grade, also trains new patrollers and helps review emergency procedures to ensure school-wide safety. In addition to excelling academically, Noah serves on the flag detail team and arranged for his father to train students on proper flag protocol, emphasizing respect and service. He is a supportive classmate, always willing to help others succeed, and actively volunteers through his church, contributing to community outreach efforts. Noah consistently demonstrates responsibility, leadership, and a strong commitment to helping others. Congratulations, Noah.
Our next recognition is for silver medallion winners in the National Scholastic Art Competition. Please welcome Lee Reyes and Ray Jordan of Visual and Performing Arts Academy at Salem High School. Give it up for them, all right? The Scholastic Art and Writing Awards is the nation's longest running and most prestigious recognition program for creative teens. Each year, students in grades 7 through 12 submit original works across a range of categories, which are evaluated by panels of accomplished artists, educators, and industrial professionals for originality, technical skills, and personal voice. Earning a silver medallion represents an exceptional level of achievement, placing students among the top young artists in these regions and distinguishing their works for its sophistication and creative expression. Lee created a digital painting titled As Syndrome, invoking themes of morality and devotion through its Gothic decorative offensive. I think I saw that in the hallway. Ray created an editorial cartoon titled A Man in Uniform, featuring a character of a satirical interaction of public figures. These two juniors amplify the highest standard of artistic dedication and innovation, and their recognition reflects both their individual talent and the strength of our Visual and Performing Art Academy. Congratulate these students. We are proud of you. Give them a big hand. Give them a bigger hand.
Our next recognition is for the Future Business Leaders of America.
Yes.
Will our FBLA students please come forward? Future Business Leaders of America is the career and technical student organization associated with business education classes and helps students learn and practice speaking, writing, and networking, all while refining their skills in various business topics. These students were first place winners at the Virginia FBLA State Leadership Conference in Reston, Virginia, attended by more than 2,100 competitors and advisors. Sarah Rudis, coordinator in our Office of Technical and Career Education, will now introduce us to these first place winners, and her name is Sarah Rutsis.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
I'm glad to share more information about our prestigious award recipients. We'll start with Ava Achenbach, a sophomore at Cox High School. Ava earned first place in retail and merchandising in the Virginia FBLA State Leadership Conference. What makes Ava's achievement particularly remarkable is that this was her first year as an FBLA member. Her performance is also historic. Ava is the first Cox High School student ever to win an objective test event at the state level in FBLA. Next, we have Megan Brannick, a senior at Cox High School. She won first place in career portfolio. Megan's state title caps a distinguished 2-year FBLA career that has consistently placed her among Virginia's top business students. Last year, she demonstrated her versatility as a competitor by finishing 10th in the nation in business plan at the FBLA National Leadership Conference. Our next winner is Jocelyn Powers, a junior at Cox High School. She won first place in Future Business Educator. Jocelyn's victory is believed to be the first competitor in the history of the event at the state level to receive a perfect score from the judges. Jocelyn is an active member of Virginia Teachers for Tomorrow, making her pursuit of the Future Business Educator title a natural extension of her broader passion for teaching as a career. Next, we have First Colonial High School sophomores Remy Garcia and Logan James, who placed first in Introduction to Programming. This award was won based on excellent practical, written, and verbal execution of their programming event, where they coded a pet-based video game. These skills and this presentation were initiated and completed solely by Remy and Logan, and this is their second year in this event. Next, we have 3 Advanced Technology Center students, senior Nathan Figueroa, junior Elijah Oanya, and senior Kyle Keller. This team competed in the networking design competition. Nathan, Elijah, and Kyle had to provide a comprehensive solution recommending a variety of solutions to identify the problems and implement security measures. This same team also placed first in the state in this competition last year. Next are the two Princess Anne High School students, senior Raymond Mulford and junior Pranav Kupretti. They won first place in business ethics. Their project centered on a fictional automotive company that marketed itself as environmentally friendly and green, despite not fully meeting those standards. Throughout the process, they developed a clear, cohesive presentation that effectively communicated complex ideas in an engaging and understandable way. Our last FBLA winner this evening is Riley Auld, a Kempsville High School senior who couldn't be with us here tonight. She won first place in the Sports and Entertainment Management event. Through an objective test in a role-play scenario, Riley applied knowledge in areas such as marketing, event planning, sponsorship, and financial management within this dynamic field.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Our next recognition is the winner of the 2026 Constantino Community Impact Award. Please welcome Dr. Admin Alexander.
Alexander.
Dr. Alexander is the director of the Office of Family and Community Engagement. The Constantino Community Impact Award is presented by Successful Innovations and the Family and Community Engagement Network. This is in recognition of his transformative leadership and sustained contributions to advancing family engagement within the Virginia Beach community. Dr. Alexander's selection reflects his ability to move beyond compliance-driven approaches and instead cultivate authentic, relationship-centered engagement practices that empower families as true partners in student success. Through his leadership, he has championed initiatives that prioritize two-way communication, access, and the intentional alignment of family engagement efforts with student outcomes. His work has not only elevated division practices, but has also influenced regional conversations and collaborations, positioning Virginia Beach as a model for effective family engagement. In addition to this recognition, Dr. Alexander was named a top 3 finalist for the 2026 National Constantino Family Engagement Practitioner Award. His leadership has resulted in more inclusive practices, stronger trust between families and schools, and increased opportunities for families to actively contribute to their children's educational experiences. Congratulations, Dr. Alexander.
Yes.
We are very proud of you.
Yes. Great job.
Our next recognition is for National Art Education Association Southeastern Region Elementary Art Educator. Please welcome Meredith Snyder of Princess Anne Elementary School. Meredith Snyder is a visual fine arts teacher at Princess Anne Elementary. The association's Southeastern Region Elementary Art Educator Award recognizes an outstanding elementary art educator whose work exemplifies excellence in teaching, leadership, and advocacy for visual arts education. This honor spans a diverse region that includes 11 states and the District of Columbia. The award celebrates educators who create meaningful, inclusive, and engaging learning environments where young students develop creativity, confidence, and artistic voice. Mrs. Snyder's commitment to highlighting each student's unique strengths within their artwork creates a supportive and inspiring classroom environment. By allowing our students the freedom to express themselves authentically, she empowers our students at Princess Anne Elementary School to develop their own artistic voices and to take pride in their individual talents. Congratulations, Mrs. Snyder. We are very proud of you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Our final recognition is for a new member of the Virginia School Board Association's Business Honor Roll. Please welcome representatives from Bayport Credit Union. It's our honor to recognize an organization that truly exemplifies what it means to be a community partner. Public schools and local businesses are deeply connected, and when they work together, our entire community benefits. A strong public school system supports a strong economy, and partnerships like this help ensure our students are prepared for success in the workplace and beyond. That's why tonight we are proud to recognize Bayport Credit Union for being named to the 2026 Virginia Schools Boards Association Business Honor Roll. This distinction reflects Bayport's ongoing commitment to supporting our schools and investing in the success of our students. Through their partnership, Bayport Credit Union has helped strengthen not only our schools, but the future of our community. Their support reinforces the idea that an excellent public education system is essential to quality of life and to sustaining a strong, vibrant democracy. On behalf of the school board, we want to express our sincere appreciation for all that Bayport Credit Union does for Virginia Beach City Public Schools. We are grateful for your dedication, your partnership, and your belief in our students. Thank you very much.
Bayport. Thank you, Bayport. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Madam Chair, this concludes the school board recognitions for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming and celebrating.
Thank you. Awesome.
Huh? Oh, I just said the same thing. Are you chewing it real fast?
Did good.
Okay, we are now on to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda as presented? Seeing none, I call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented, moved by Dr. Green, seconded by Ms. Dwyer. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote to approve the agenda as presented.
So, Madam Chair, we have 9 ayes. The motion did pass for the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Dr. Robertson, we do not have any reports or recognitions tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. We are now on to the approval of meeting minutes. Are there any modifications to the April 28th, 2026 minutes as presented? Seeing none, I call for a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Moved by Ms. Dwyer, seconded by Mr. Culpepper. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote on the minutes.
So, Madam Chair, we have 9 ayes. The motion did pass for the approval of the April 28th meeting minutes.
Thank you. We're now on to public comments, and we will hear public comments on matters relevant to pre-K through 12 public education in Virginia Beach and the business of the school board and the school division from citizens and delegations who signed up with the school board clerk prior to noon today. The purpose for the public comment section is for the school board to offer an orderly forum to receive public comments during the school board meeting. I call upon all speakers and all persons in chambers to be civil in discussion and decorum. Whatever views you wish to express, the school board wants to hear from you and to ensure that all viewpoints and perspectives are heard. The best way to do this is for all of us to strive for civility and respect. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce the first speaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first speakers are Kevin Ricard, Kim Mayo, and then Jane Turan.
Good evening, Dr. Robertson, Chairman Brown, and members of the school board. My name is Kevin Rickard, and I am the Instructional Technology Specialist at Newtown Elementary. I have served Virginia Beach City Public Schools for more than 20 years and Newtown for the last 15. I am here tonight to express our serious concerns about the proposed merger of Newtown Elementary and Betty F. Williams. Our district has demonstrated tremendous vision in building and renovating district schools. Unfortunately, this proposal does not reflect that same level of planning and vision. The current design reduces Betty F. Williams to just 14 classrooms, 3 resource rooms, 2 offices, and 1 student bathroom in the new wing, and wherever we can fit them in the existing building. That is not enough space to support the needs of our students or staff. It will create overcrowding and significant challenges in art, music, physical education, lunch, and the library while leaving little room for future growth. I shared a slideshow with each of you outlining these concerns and offering possible solutions. PE is one of the most impacted areas of this plan. Our gym is small compared to others, only 5,250 square feet. We currently average 4 classes per period at about 63 students. This plan will force PE up to 7 classes and about 138 students per period. This is unsafe and will not allow all of the students to be active at the same time, especially when factoring in behaviors of our student body. On comparison, John B. Dye has a similar student body of what we will have at that time, and their gym is 6,400 square feet. We need a larger gym to ensure every student has an active and productive PE experience. We also need a second playground set by PE to accommodate recess during PE with up to 138 students at recess at one time. Another serious issue is bathroom access. With as many as 9 classes transitioning at the same time and only 3 nearby student restrooms, routine restroom breaks will become extremely difficult. During SOL testing, 2 of those bathrooms will be reserved for test takers. We have the largest simultaneous test takers of any elementary school in the district. This year it'll be 190, roughly, leaving just 1 bathroom for the rest of the students. Some of you expressed concerns about this in your September 24th meeting. We share that concern. Finally, Newtown and Betty F. Williams are hard-to-staff schools with a high turnover rate. Overcrowding, not allowing every staff member to have a safe and comfortable workspace to be productive and creative in, not having a comfortable space to commune in with our fellow teachers and staff will make that even harder. This merger will affect our students every day. We respectfully ask you to reconsider this plan and work with staff to develop a solution that is safer, more functional, and better aligned with the needs of our school community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Our next speaker is Kim Mayo, Jean Trahan, and then Jamie Irish.
Good evening. I'd like to ask, do you think our neighborhood schools are stronger or weaker having one gifted school? I'm optimistic about major reform given how next year's school board is shaping up. The chief academic officer who pushed the gifted plan has left. Some school board and admin greatly underestimated public sentiment on gifted ed. ODS now admits 1 elementary schooler from every school. In 2026, nothing separates those at ODS from those in neighborhood schools. I'll read my piece published in the pilot, but first, as an update, my FOIA came back after the article was published. ODS took 50% of the $24 million gifted budget in FY25. General reaction outside of ODS was many in your districts are getting screwed over. As Virginia Beach City Public Schools moves through budget season, key decisions are made that impact thousands of students and families. During the 24-25 school year, ODS received 57% of gifted funding, while only serving 11% of the division's gifted students. This imbalance raises serious questions about proper use of taxpayer money. Maintaining a standalone public gifted school for grades 3 through 8 is very unusual. In other states, similar specialized schools are typically private. In Virginia Beach, public resources are heavily concentrated at ODS. Many schools, particularly the 23 elementary schools recently identified by the VDOE as off track or in need of intensive support, struggle with far fewer resources. ODS even gives 6th graders world languages 5 days a week, 50 minutes per day, when neighborhood middle schools don't offer high school credit language classes. ODS also has far lower rates of students with IEPs than the rest of the division's gifted students. Virginia Beach Public Schools has consulted with national education expert Dr. Jonathan Plucker, yet ignored recommendations. Some school board members are now pushing for major reform. In challenging financial times, public education dollars should serve as many students as possible. Redirecting gifted funding to neighborhood schools and eventually repurposing the Old Nation School campus would expand opportunity. We must ensure that this public asset benefits the entire community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jane Trahan, Jamie Irish, and then Kat Evans.
Good evening. My name is Jane Trahan, and I'm the music teacher at Newtown Elementary School. With 18 years of experience in Virginia Beach as both a licensed professional and a long-term substitute, I've taught music in both dedicated classrooms and from a mobile cart. I'm here to share my thoughts and feelings for the upcoming merger with Betty F. My primary concern is capacity and specialized storage. Currently, my classroom houses 2 closets of percussion and Orff instruments, xylophones. The addition of Betty F. Williams program, specifically their 4th and 5th grade curriculum, brings an entire inventory of instruments, including violins, violas, cellos, and basses. These instruments require a climate-controlled, secure, and dedicated space that a mobile cart system simply cannot provide. There's been no space provided in the blueprints for music or art classes to take place. Instructional quality suffers significantly without a dedicated room. Teaching from a cart forces a teacher to limit the curriculum to what can be physically transported. Students would lose the opportunity to play larger instruments like xylophones and turbano drums, which are central to our current weekly lessons. Finally, the music education at the 4th and 5th grade levels relies heavily on kinesthetic learning. Our curriculum includes line and circle dances designed to foster social skills, coordination, and collaborative development. Standard classrooms are not configured for this type of movement. Currently, every music performance that we have at Newtown is beyond capacity in our cafetorium area. This past year alone, we had parents who had to stand due to lack of seating, and some parents even spilled out into the atrium due to lack of space. If we double our school's student numbers, we're also doubling our parent and guardian numbers. The cafeteria is no longer large enough to fit our parents for special events after school and multiple concerts each year. There's been no talk of expanding our current cafeteria with these blueprints. In closing, I'd like to say that I'm a proud alumnus of Virginia Beach Public Schools. I went to Indian Lakes Elementary and Larkspur Middle School and Salem High School before it was an academy. My mom has taught in Virginia Beach City Public Schools for 34 years before retiring, and my dad still works for Virginia Beach City Public Schools as a security officer at a local high school. However, I am concerned by the manner in which the development of this project has taken place. I don't think it is fair to make decisions without talking to the people who's going to be affected mostly. I think you have a duty to our district to make sure that our students are getting the best we can give them and not be just a second thought because nothing else can be done. I urge you to look over the plans for the Newtown Betty F merger and see if this is really the best that we can give our Title I students. Thank you for your time and your commitment to our students' development.
Our next speaker is Jamie Irish, Kat Evans, and then Candy Malden.
Good evening, school board members and concerned citizens. My name is Jamie Irish. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Newtown Elementary School. I stand here before you to address critical omission in the bi-campus merger plans for Betty F. Williams and Newtown Elementary. The failure to address the core operational needs of our kitchen and cafeteria. This omission threatens the equitable management of our school and the welfare of our most marginalized students. Newtown is a Title I school providing essential nutrition for 430 students, many whom rely on the National School Lunch Program. After this merger, our population will nearly double to almost 800 students. Our current facilities are already insufficient. Staff operate with only 1 functioning oven and 1 steamer, while the walk-in refrigerator is unsafely shared for prep carts and raw storage. With a degree in culinary and food service management, I can state with certainty that these facilities cannot safely handle the volume of 800 students. With regard to equity and resource allocation, This unequal resource allocation is profoundly concerning, especially when comparing our school's situation to others. For instance, John B. Dye Elementary, a non-Title I school with approximately 750 students, received a $25.7 million budget for a renovation that included a modern kitchen, a new cafeteria, and courtyard. In stark contrast, Newtown Elementary, a Title I school serving nearly 800 students after the merger, is only receiving a portion of $13.7 million contract for a classroom addition with no planned kitchen or cafeteria renovation. And this limited budget must be shared also with Diamond Springs Elementary. Furthermore, the $25.7 million renovation for Jean B. Dye was completed over 5 years ago in early '21, meaning that due to inflation and current recession, the purchasing power of $13.7 million contract today is considerably less. The funding disparity is further highlighted by the historical context. The complete remodel or rebuild of the historical landmark of Betty F. Williams was once slated to cost approximately $100.7 million. The cancellation of that $107 million project makes the current $13.7 million split for two schools seem entirely inequitable. Equitable access requires comparable investment in the Title I schools that provide essential social services. Beyond the kitchen, our cafeteria is maxed at capacity of 268. Doubling our student body will force lunch service to cut deeply into instructional time. Furthermore, the combined school will be unable to hold a single assembly for an entire student body. We also require acoustic panels to manage the noise levels. We respectfully urge the school board to prioritize the expansion of the cafeteria and kitchen alongside the initial campus expansion. Our
And that is
students
time.
deserve a safe and equitable environment.
And our next speaker is Kat Evans, Candy Maudlin, and then Catherine Berney.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Dr. Robinson, and the board. My name is Kat Evans. I'm a second grade teacher at Newtown Elementary. The Virginia Beach Tri-Campus, Diamond Springs Elementary, Newtown Elementary, and Betty F. Williams all deserve equal and equitable resources, the same as other Virginia Beach schools. Our staff work just as hard, and our students do too. This merger between Betty F. Williams and Newtown Elementary is adding a huge amount of additional stress on our staff. And as many Title I schools do, we already deal with a very high staff turnover. The building plans just are simply not acceptable. They pretty much adding, it's a hallway. They're just one long hallway we're adding on there. Our gym is, our cafeteria, our library, our recess space. It cannot accommodate an entire school being added to us. We need more workrooms. We need more printers. The entire school building is being added, and workrooms, multiple. This is a whole entire school there, and they're just having one workroom being added to it. We are already barely able to use the workrooms that we have and the printers that we have. You're not redistricting our zones, so that means that we're getting the entirety of Betty F. Williams, their student population staff. Our hallways already get crowded outside of our gym. Our cafeteria is already loud with the current space. Our library is already teeming with eager readers. Just comparing this to John B. Dye, that school had a huge rebuild. I mean, massive. It's beautiful. They had this beautiful, spacious environment. The Gifted Academy, so ODS, their space is also beautiful, spacious, more than enough space for them to work in. They got huge funding as well. So why do we lose our green area that we currently use for recess? We only gain one big hallway and receive a whole school full of students without any further room to accommodate them. Why can't we get at Newtown the equitable service, the equitable funding and consideration as other Virginia Beach schools get? I love our school, our students, and our family, and Newtown deserves better. Our students, our families, our staff deserves better. Please revisit the plans for the Newtown Betty F. merger, because people are not just lining up, knocking doors just to become a teacher right now. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Candy Maudlin, then Catherine Berney, and then Lacey Davis.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Candy Maudlin. I am here to be the voice of my son, Logan Lawson. Logan is 8 years old and he is a type 1 diabetic warrior. I would like to address some symptomatic failures and accountability regarding my son's medical safety. On May 27th, Logan's blood sugar dropped dangerously to a 40 or a 64. The alert was determined by his pump at 258, yet it was not acknowledged until 3:21. 23 critical minutes my son sat in class to finish a paper. Not one person intervened. Logan then was instructed to go to the nurse and walk alone during a hypoglycemic event. Just 2 days after reporting with the district, I was also told that I was also told that he turns off his CGMs and walks alone, or he wants to walk alone. I addressed it with the school, and those were the comments that were made. Not regarding his safety, not about making a plan of what could be changed or what else we could do. It was blame put on my son. Each time the focus changed from the wording, we've had 4 meetings with district. 2 of them where district was present and found them in violation. I'm not sure how much more we can change wording on a paper and not make a change and hold people accountable for the actions that they are not helping him. My son won't be an expectation or a learning curve. For the school's inability to implement its own safety protocols, I am just asking for accountability and making sure that my son is safe while he is at school. He is only 8, and I'm not sure what the expectation is for an 8-year-old child, or how much he needs to get up and raise his hand or be instructed on how to say he needs help. I've also brought documents of everything that's happened. I will pass them to the clerk. That is all. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Catherine Burney and then Lacey Davis.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Byrne, and I have spent 10 years teaching 2nd and 3rd grade before transitioning to teaching art on a cart. Now that I have my own classroom, art classroom at Newtown, I have seen firsthand how essential dedicated space and storage are for a successful art program. The proposed addition would limit our ability to effectively organize and maintain the wide range of materials required for art instruction. Relying on a cart-based model would introduce significant challenges. From my experience, teaching art on a cart is not a sustainable long-term solution, as it restricts instructional time, limits project scope, and creates unnecessary logistical barriers. A well-equipped permanent art space is critical for providing students with the quality creative experience they deserve. Classroom structure is an essential part of a successful art program. In an art room, students are seated at large tables where they can share materials and collaborate. This setup supports both creativity and efficiency. However, in a traditional classroom, if I were to go in on a cart, often students sit individually, which requires rearranging the entire room before and after the class. This takes valuable time away from instruction, and the teachers don't always appreciate it. These are also significant challenges related to materials, too. Materials such as oil pastels, paint, watercolor, and clay can easily spill onto desks, computers, and student work. I can attest to that. That's happened many times. This understandably creates frustration for classroom teachers. As a result, many avoid using these materials altogether and rely primarily on just crayons and markers, limiting the student's artistic experience. Additionally, on a cart, access to proper cleanup facilities is often inadequate. Many classrooms have only one small sink, making it difficult to manage paint and other materials effectively. You've got students who need to wash their hands, and then you also have the supplies that you need to clean out in the classroom. So it's also a problem. Extra storage with access to a sink and storage closet for supplies would greatly improve both instruction and classroom relationships. Students benefit from being in an environment designed for art. When I teach art, the one thing I want my students to do is to kind of leave your problems at the door and let's relax. There's a reason why there's art therapy. You know, come in, relax. I play soft music, relax. I want you to just focus entirely on what happened here, not what happened in PE. So they need to have their own space. They learn how to share materials, work collaboratively, and respect tools and space. These are important skills that cannot be fully developed in a transient cart-based model. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Lacey Davis.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Lacey Davis, and I proudly serve as the librarian at Newtown Elementary School. I stand before you today as an advocate for the students, staff, and families of District 4, specifically the Tri-Campus. As an employee and stakeholder in Virginia Beach Public Schools, I have seen the amazing facilities and the opportunities that this board and this school division have created for students throughout our city. Therefore, it is not my intention to stand in the way of any changes being brought to the Tri-Campus. On the contrary, the innovations, educational benefits, and investment in the future of our Tri-Campus students is encouraged. However, the concern that brings me here today is the disconnect between the modernization plan for Betty F. Williams and every other project that has come before it in the CIP. Until recently, a web page from Virginia Beach City Public Schools, Schools of the Future, was accessible on the division website. Although it has been replaced, it hasn't been updated since 2023 and has been replaced by a link to the Comprehensive Long-Range Facilities Plan from 2018. Both of these documents propose a modernization plan for Betty F. Williams to incorporate a new build incorporating the Bayside 6 campus, also slated for modernization. The corresponding CIP from last year's budgeted $118 million to consolidate both campuses and solve two of the four oldest infrastructure concerns of the city. Also included in the Schools for the Future web page were 3 concept designs, a schedule of public forum and meeting dates, and a progress timeline including photographic evidence of 2 educational specification meetings, 5 conceptual design meetings, and 1 schematic design meeting, which took place in the Betty F. Williams cafetorium. Fast forward to present day, and all of the planning appears to have been abandoned with no clear explanation as to why. The current proposal on the table today was only made known to me because I happened to be in the library when the bid meeting took place, where I overheard the planners say that the scope of work did not include any modifications to the existing structure despite our student enrollment doubling. Newtown currently houses 425 students, and every available space is occupied and has a purpose. Finding this a concern, I went back and followed up on the school board meeting to find out what the proposed plan was for the 400 additional students. Ms. Williams and Ms. Evans spoke to that concern about consolidating the whole school down to 14 classrooms. When you look at the most recently completed elementary modernization products at Thorogood, John B. Dye, Old Donation Center, and College Park Elementary Schools, you can see why the plan for Betty F. Williams does not jibe with our schools division standard.
And that is time. Thank you. Madam Chair, that was our last speaker for this evening.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are now on to our Policy Review Committee recommendations. Welcome, Cammie Lenetti, School Board Attorney.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, School Board members, and Dr. Robertson. I'm Cammie Lenetti. I'm the School Board Attorney, and on behalf of the Policy Review Committee, I'll be bringing recommendations for policy amendments and changes from the April 22nd, 2026 PRC meeting. We only have 4 tonight, so starting the first one is Policy 3.2. This is Ethics in Public Contracting. We've amended this and expanded it a little bit, not significant changes, however. We've done some scrivener changes in the first paragraph. Then we'll be adding 2 paragraphs, which we think will clarify the requirements under the Ethics in Public Contracting Act. First would be A, employees must also comply with 1, the Virginia State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act, and 2, the Virginia Frauds Act. And then B, the superintendent or designee will provide guidance and training as necessary to ensure understanding and compliance with these statutes. And then we've updated the legal references. This was last looked at in 2021, and we felt these were necessary amendments. Are there any questions on policy 3.2? Seeing no questions on policy 3.2, I'm going to move on to policy 4.6. Policy 4.6 is healthy work environment. The only changes we made here are basically formatting, where the paragraphs did not have designations before. So we're going to designate the first paragraph as A and the second full paragraph as B. Other than that, we have no recommended changes for policy 4.6. So are there any questions on policy 4.6? Hearing no questions on policy 4.6, we're going to move on to policy 4.18. Policy 4.18 is in your personnel section. Having spent some time with human resources, we realized that we have 2 policies and regulations that basically do the same thing. It was creating some confusion for us. So policy 4.18 is dismissal or placement on probation. It's broken up into licensed personnel and classified personnel, and then the rules for placement on probation. We realized that policy 4.6 and the regulations supported also have these procedures in them, and it got a little confusing as to which policy we should be using. So there's no reason we should have 2 policies, and we felt that policy 4.6 more clearly sets this forth.
Ms. Rogers?
I'm sorry, Ms. Rogers.
Yeah, I have a question. So I just want to make sure we do have, we have a policy that specifically discusses dismissal of a teacher and the probation and all of that. Do you know which policy?
Correct. It should be 4.6, and if you look at them, that actually follows what are the regulations, the statutory requirements, and the regulations involved. And this is just a general discussion on it. I'm not really clear why this was added in there. It's been in for a while, but there's no reason to do it. And we've had several situations where we realized there were conflicts as to which policy we should be using. We felt that the 4.6 ones are more clear and then they more closely
And the
follow
placement
them.
of probation as well is in
Correct.
there.
They're
Okay,
both
I
in
just
there,
want to make sure.
Yeah, we do have the existing policies for this. Are there any further questions on 4.18? Hearing no questions on 4.18, we're remaining in the personnel section in policy 4.39, which currently reads employee professional development and growth in job skills. The decision was to just leave it as employee professional development, just some modifications in the first paragraph to read a little bit cleaner. You'll see down in paragraph A, teacher orientation, in section 2, again, we're correcting the name of a department, and updating section C, which will be, instead of tuition, we felt it was more appropriate to call it employee professional development, so it doesn't limit tuition to simply college or type of programs like that. Other professional development could be covered. We updated the legal reference to that and added in the new reference. And that there are no further recommendations for amendments. Are there any questions on 4.39? Hearing no questions on 4.39, that will end the PRC's recommendation for this month.
Thank you. Okay, we are now on to our All in Virginia update, and we welcome Kamani Vaughn, Director of Elementary Schools, Department of School Leadership.
Good evening, Chairwoman Brown, Vice Chair Weems, school board members, and Dr. Robertson. My name is Kimani Vaughn, and I serve as a Director of Elementary Schools in the Department of School Leadership. This evening, I will provide a brief update on how our school division continues to strategically utilize the All in Virginia funds provided by the Commonwealth as the funding period comes to a close. You may recall that under the All in Virginia initiative, which began during the 2023-2024 school year, our division received approximately $20 million from the Commonwealth. The majority of these funds, approximately 70%, were designated to support high-intensity tutoring for students in grades 3 through 8. 20% supported the implementation of the Virginia Literacy Act, and the remaining 10% was designated to address chronic absenteeism. As shared in previous updates, the state allowed divisions flexibility to shift funds across these categories when necessary and with prior approval from the Virginia Department of Education. This initiative will sunset on June 30th, 2026, and all funds must be fully expended by that date. As I move through this update, you will learn how we have made intentional adjustments in response to student needs and how we're strategically planning to spend down the remaining funds. Oh, you go back. There we go. Since the 2023-2024 school year, the All in Virginia initiative has allowed us to strengthen our tutoring model by focusing on both intervention and acceleration, while keeping the emphasis on direct support for students. Since the start of this initiative, our students have received over 4,000 hours of tutoring, which reflects the continued expansion of services to meet student needs. Total hours for this fiscal year 26 through April 15th are 1,023. It is important to note that these hours are specific to the high-intensity tutoring provided under this initiative. We do have other tutoring opportunities that come out of our local funding and Title I funding to support remediation and acceleration. As a part of our spend down plan, we made strategic adjustments in spending categories to ensure timely and effective responses to student learning needs. These adjustments allowed us to expand student access to tutoring, increase tutoring hours, extend the duration of services, and provide targeted instructional materials for specific student populations. Some of these examples are noted on the slide. Our Department of School Leadership and Department of Teaching and Learning teams conducted a careful review of tutoring plans to ensure both equity and fiscal responsibility. It is important to note that shifting of funds have not negatively impacted any of our schools' ability to provide high-intensity tutoring. We would like to take a moment to thank you for your continued support throughout the implementation of the Virginia Literacy Act. As you are aware, the Virginia Literacy Act required each school division to develop and implement an approved K-12 division literacy plan. This included the adoption of core curriculum materials for kindergarten through 5th grade, as well as supplemental and intervention resources for grades K through 8 from the Virginia Department of Education approved lists. With your support, we were able to use All in Virginia funds to purchase our division's core English language program, HMH Into Reading, along with supplemental and intervention resources such as UFly, Heggerty, and 95% comprehension, which are used to support students with foundational reading and comprehension skills. These resources also help to provide targeted intervention for student groups such as our English language learners. We're proud to report that nearly all allocated funds have been used to purchase approved instructional materials that are now actively supporting students in classrooms across our division. We will fully expend the remaining funds on approved curricular resources prior to the June 30th deadline. Another important area supported by All in Virginia funds is our continued work to reduce chronic absenteeism. Here you see a summary of our efforts to improve student attendance through targeted interventions and family engagement. As of April 20th, 2026, attendance has improved for 19,158 students this school year. For comparison purposes, the entire school year last year, attendance improved for 23,390 students who received attendance nudges through the Everyday Labs program. The chart also shows the broader progress we've made as a school division. In 2023-24, our chronic absenteeism rate was 17.21%. That rate decreased significantly to approximately 10.04% in 24-25, and we've maintained that progress this year with a rate still around 10%. Through the combined efforts of schools and our partnership with Everyday Labs, several schools reduced chronic absenteeism rates by more than 10 percentage points, demonstrating the effectiveness of this targeted approach. Our Attendance Ambassador program continues to show strong results across participating schools. This year, the program includes a part-time coordinator and 6 ambassadors supporting students and families at selected sites. At Birdneck Elementary, for example, we saw more than a 10% reduction in chronic absenteeism during the second semester last year, and we are continuing to build on that success. Schools continue to use student response teams to analyze attendance data, partner with families, and implement targeted intervention plans for students at risk. Schools also continue to leverage the flexible in-person tutoring to reduce absenteeism. Additionally, our collaboration with the Virginia Beach Court Improvement Program has strengthened coordination between schools and city partners, helping to streamline truancy processes and providing support to families earlier in the intervention process. The figures displayed represent estimated expenditures and remaining balances updated as of May 8, 2026. Our schools continue to work diligently to ensure these funds are used strategically to support student learning and achievement. Based on current tutoring plans and resource allocations, we are confident that we have a clear plan in place to fully utilize most of the remaining funds prior to the June 30th deadline. That concludes our All in Virginia update. Our team stands ready to address any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Ms. Melnick?
So I think for the public, the chronic absenteeism, just that, I just want to repeat all of this great news again, because the work, Mr. Jameson, the work that's being done in Virginia Beach City Public Schools is really incredible. And I know other surrounding school districts are really struggling with this. And I think clearly we're a model for other school districts. Mrs. Linetti, please remind me the name of the social worker that's really the creme de la creme. Damian Wilson.
Oh, Damian was your
Yes.
head. He's phenomenal. And I
Yes.
want to do a shout out for Simone Booth, who's
Simone
in
Booth,
They are
yes.
in court. I can't even tell you how many days a week with this.
Yes, but important to note also, I know you said Virginia Beach Court Improvement Program, but we have our own docket. So we can stay on top of this. We really are a model for the rest of the area. Really kudos to all of you guys, because that in particular is really important, right? Being in school every day is so important. So thank you for that. I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers.
Thank you again. I just had a quick question, and I guess it would be for Dr. Robertson. This all in Virginia money is sunsetting, but we do have plans to then fund all of this.
So we do not.
But we do not.
We do not. The funds are sunsetting, and right now, both versions of the House and Senate budget in Richmond that is unsettled have different portions of money set aside. That, if you recall, when we shared with the board some recommendations of a percentage of funds that we could use towards these purposes, we feel like the work we've done around attendance, for example, is something we can peel away from. We've changed the culture around attendance. We've got enough supports to handle that, but there's no substitute for the supports you see in the
Right.
tutoring area.
That's what
for
I,
example.
these are
Correct.
the kind of things that I'm, like, I want to make sure that we aren't just dropping altogether, which is why I was asking about the funding, because it would be a shame that all of this hard work just can't go on, and it will affect our students. So again, to Mrs. Melnick's point, that we're doing such an amazing job, and now this is where the public can see that our funding is so important that we can't provide the services without the money. And we have no way of generating revenue, this kind of revenue, to do this on our own. But this is the important work that our division needs to continue with, and this is why having support from the city and the state and the federal government is so important for the success of our students. But thank you all very much for all of your hard work.
Ms. Felton.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn, I want to say thank you for this detailed presentation. I am really impressed with this program. I've had the opportunity to visit 2 schools, and I was just amazed how, for lack of a better word, I don't like the word tracking, but the engagement that they use for individual student and how the numbers have come down with this program. As Dr. Robertson has said, it has changed the culture with the teachers, the administration, how they work with this. Even though the sun is setting on this, I'd just like to say to our students that do this hard work, you take little and you do so much with it. And I was just impressed how one particular school knew each student, knew each step, and how they were graduating out of that. And I'll use the word graduating out of the program. They had gotten them to that point where they were successful on their own. And it was another program they did how you all go out and find the students. And I don't want to get into detail, but I don't give people negative thought, but how you find them, because some of them were lost, and you bring them back and get them up to par. I do appreciate this program. I hope somehow, some way, the federal government would understand, use us as a model, that this is very important because it is set on our children, our students up to be successful in society. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this update. I do have a question, and I want to start first by saying that attendance regularly is very important. And I'm happy that we're moving in the right direction there. But I do have some questions about the nudges and the letters. So the nudges, we're talking about the text messages, correct?
The letters, excuse me.
Yes.
The letters as well as the text messages, yes.
Okay. And so I've had a couple of families reach out to me because when they get the letters, they've told their schools their student is ill. And so they're now receiving a letter and they feel like they have to send their kid to school ill, even though we have policies and we don't want them to go to school ill. So how are we making sure that families know that this is just a notification?
Right.
And it's not, you did something wrong here?
So ongoing communications directly with those families, any questions that do come through. The text messages themselves can be individualized to students and families as reminders that this is not punitive. This is literally just an update on your student's progress related to attendance. And from that point, if they have any additional questions between admin, school counselors, even registrars and buildings are able to answer questions. We have FAQ documents for them if families do reach out with questions about those nudges that they're receiving.
Is that FAQ something that is division-wide? Is it
It's been
standard?
shared, yes.
Is that something that you might be able to share with the board?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that if anybody has any questions about it, I can also pass it along. Anyway, thank you for all of the work that you all are doing. We are now on to federal grant applications, and we welcome Dr. Lorena Kelly, Executive Director, Office of Elementary Teaching and Learning. Hello.
Good evening, Chair Brown, Vice Chair Weems, School Board, and Dr. Robertson. My name is Lorena Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, and I'm here tonight with a team of colleagues to provide you with an overview of the 2026-2027 federal grant applications. These programs are authorized under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, as amended by the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015. Federal guidelines require school board approval of these grant applications. We bring the applications forward to you annually for your review and approval, and the Virginia Department of Ed has provided us with a July 1st, 2026 deadline to have them submitted. Oops. Sorry. This slide provides an overview of the past, current, and projected funding amounts for each grant. The final 2026-2027 award amounts for all grants will be determined at a later date. Level funding amounts based on current year awards will be used for the purposes of developing the Title I Part D, Title II, Title III, and Title IV applications this year. We have received guidance specific to Title I Part A to use a reduced allocation based on projections. This is a conservative approach and is being implemented to ensure that we are well positioned until federal funding is confirmed. At this time, I'll go through each application. The Title I Part A grant has been developed for just over $15.2 million. The application was prepared and schools were identified to be Title I schools using data from Community Eligibility Provisions CEP reports. Title I Part A funds provide additional financial assistance to schools with high percentages of children from low-income families to help ensure that all children meet challenging state academic content and achievement standards. The 2026-27 application includes Title I and pre-K support staff and resources, instructional staffing allocations beyond the division allocations. Such positions include additional literacy leaders, math coaches, school counselors, behavior intervention specialists, teacher assistants, MTSS coaches, family outreach representatives, an ESL teacher, and a social worker. Additional funding for tutoring, field trips, stipends, and summer programs are included in the grant application. Professional learning for instructional staff, family engagement supports, and equitable services for eligible private schools are included. Additional funding for instructional supplies and technology programs are also provided. A memo dated May 5th, 2026 was sent to the board with the administration's recommendations for schools to receive Title I funds for the 26-27 school year. Title I Part D, Neglected, Delinquent, or At-Risk Youth Grant is anticipated for just over $94,000. The purpose of the Title I Part D grant is to improve educational services for neglected and delinquent children and youth under the age of 21 in correctional facilities and for other at-risk populations to prepare them for secondary school completion, training, employment, and further education. In addition, the funds are used to support students residing in delinquent facilities, to support the transition of students from those facilities and the Virginia Beach Juvenile Detention Center back to Virginia Beach City Public Schools, including Renaissance Academy, and to support dropout prevention programs. The Title II Part A grant is anticipated for just under $2 million. Title II Part A provides funds to improve the skills of teachers and the quality of instruction in academic subjects in elementary and secondary schools. It supports activities for the development of teachers, principals, and other school leaders. The program aims to improve high-quality systems of support for excellent teaching and learning. The grant will fund instructional coaches as either literacy or math supports to serve our schools. And additionally, equitable services for eligible private schools is also provided. The Title III Part A grant is anticipated at just over $289,000. Title III Part A is utilized to fund the salary and benefits of an English learner instructional specialist. The specialist assists ESL and classroom teachers with instructional support, as well as provides professional development for ESL and classroom teachers. The grant also provides funding for educators to attend professional learning relative to English learners and best practices. It includes funds to support stipends for English learner family engagement liaisons and to support family engagement activities. Furthermore, the grant funds Elevation, which is a digital platform that allows teachers and administrators to access English learner student data, supports digital meetings for student accommodation planning and monitoring purposes, and provides federally mandated documents in multiple languages. Funds are reserved to ensure the provisions of equitable services for eligible private schools. The Title IV Part A grant is anticipated at just over $1.3 million. Funds are intended to improve students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of school divisions to provide all students with access to well-rounded education, ensure safe and healthy environments, and increase the effective use of technology. Supports from the Title IV Part A grant include, but are not limited to, financial support for AP and IB exam fees, to supplement staffing needs such as coaches and social workers, providing classroom materials including intervention and resources, professional learning. The division will provide equitable services for eligible private schools. Thank you for allowing me to present this information to you this evening. We will return to you at the next board meeting to request consent for submission to the Virginia Department of Ed. We stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Ms. Melnick?
Dr. Kelly, can you go back in your script right before we turn the page?
Yes.
You said, can you look and tell me what you said about some, was it criteria for, it was right before I turned the page.
Federal guidelines require school board approval of these grants, and we have to do it before July 1st, 2026.
Right after the grant funding, at the end of your grant funding script.
I said this is a conservative approach and is being implemented to ensure we're well positioned until federal funding is confirmed.
Okay, and right before, this is a conservative approach.
Yep.
What did you say?
That this year we received guidance specific to Title I Part A to reduce the allocation based on projections.
Okay. So can you just explain that so that, just in layman's terms?
Sure.
All right, so
usually we always put our applications in based on level funding.
Okay.
So we'll use that same amount. This year we received guidance for Title I instead of using the level funding to reduce that a little bit.
Okay.
And so that's what we've done. And once we know the true allocation, we'll be able to adjust.
Okay, you'll be able to adjust once you know the true allocation.
True.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That if we were conservative and we were awarded the grant, we're not going to be held at that conservative number. We're able to adjust. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Rogers?
I guess on that same vein, I'm assuming, and I guess maybe I should ask, that we were told to be conservative because we're not sure we're getting the funding that we had gotten in the past.
There are a lot of factors that
Right.
contribute to the reason why we were asked to be conservative at that time. And I do have Laura Silverman here, and she can give you the amount of detail that you would like.
Well, I'm most concerned about if we are given the amount that we're projecting, how is that going to affect our staff? What are we going to be losing jobs? Are we going to be losing services? Like, I just need, like, that's where my concerns lie. Obviously, you can see that last year we were funded 20 million. Now it's projected 18. That's a $2 million gap that's got to come from somewhere. So that's why I'm asking if we wind up with a $2 million difference from last year, how is that going to affect us in real terms?
Great question, and I'm glad you asked it about staff. We're pleased to share that based on leveraging other grant funding sources such as BPI grants, such as the Title I carryover from this year, it's a normal practice that we look at and how we can leverage carryover funds from one year to the next. We will not be eliminating any FTEs built into this grant application, which is based on the 15 million figure. Okay, the only position, there is 1.4 FTE that has been vacant for the past year and a half, which will no longer included in this application. But based on your question, people are not losing positions. We're just using multiple funding sources to ensure that we're meeting our current needs and doing our best to continue both the staffing, because it's a priority, as well as to ensure that our programs continue to meet the standards for our students.
Okay, that's my biggest concern. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Green?
Once the grant is submitted, when will we have verification or notification of what will be funded?
We typically receive allocations around September. So we submit in July. We actually receive VDOE approval. And then later on, once we receive the true funding, we're able to amend.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any further questions.
Thank you.
We are now on to budget transfers. Welcome Crystal Pate, Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening, Chairwoman Brown, Vice Chairwoman Weems, School Board members, Dr. Robertson. For informational purposes this evening, we are presenting one fiscal year 2025-2026 budget transfer for the board's review. School board approval is required for any budget transfer that exceeds the superintendent's authorization threshold of $250,000. The proposed transfer in the amount of $420,000 addresses increased McKinney-Vento transportation costs from a rise in the number of students being served. To fund this transfer, we are recommending the use of remaining available funds from elementary classroom budget, specifically within the Social Security tax line item, due to position vacancies. And that concludes the presentation for the budget transfers. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Green?
Mine is really not a question, but from a practitioner perspective, Ms. Pate, I know right now you have numbers for McKinney-Vento, but I think it's important for my colleagues to be aware that those numbers may change between now and the end of the school year. So what we see may increase.
Absolutely, and because we've seen that increased cost over this fiscal year, we're watching that very carefully. We have a budget analyst that looks at those bills, and we also work with Damian Wilson, who was mentioned earlier, who's been helping us analyze that and make sure that we're on track to make sure that's funded completely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any further questions. Colleagues, just so you're aware, this is on our consent agenda, so if anybody has any further questions about it when we get to that, we'll need to move it to action. We are now on to VSBA recognition, and I'll be presenting this one. Mr. Callen had brought to my attention an inaugural School Board Clerk of the Year Award honor, and we discussed submitting the nomination. That has to be approved unanimously by the board to submit. And, we all had very glowing reviews of our clerk here at the very beginning of the year. So I drafted this letter and I'm going to go ahead and read it. and it will be on consent. And after that, and of course, any discussion anybody wants. The School Board of the City of Virginia Beach enthusiastically nominates Ms. Regina M. Taniato, Clerk of the School Board, for the inaugural VSBA School Board Clerk of the Year Award. Since assuming her role on July 1st, 2020, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Taniato has demonstrated unwavering professionalism, exceptional organizational skills, and dedication to the work of the school board. Having only a school-based background and no prior experience with the duties of the school board clerk's office, Ms. Taniato assumed her new clerk duties just as public bodies were returning to the workplace and learning how to conduct public meetings under the new COVID restrictions. Even experienced school board clerks were challenged by these new and changing conditions, yet Ms. Taniato persevered and was integral in the school board's transition to electronic meetings and to developing the protocols to allow the public to safely view and participate in school board meetings. Her steady presence, strong work ethic, and commitment to Virginia Beach City Public Schools provided the much-needed calm in the storm during these challenges. As clerk for an 11-member school board that has experienced significant transition and rotation, Ms. Taniato has consistently provided continuity, guidance, and dependability. She has successfully managed the complexities of virtual, COVID, and in-person meetings across multiple locations, including a one-year placement at another building while the school administration building underwent construction. Upon return to the newly renovated school board chambers, Ms. Taniato took charge of the new open meetings voting system software program. This was the first time the school board had access to an online integrated voting and agenda system, and Ms. Taniato took on the heroic task of teaching 11 board members how to incorporate this new system into their governance procedures. While the school board would like to say we were all stellar students, Ms. Taniato would most likely admit that teaching the school board to use this system was yet another challenge we gave her that year. Throughout these transitions, she ensured meeting materials and speaker lists were organized, compliant, and prepared for each meeting to ensure they would be able to be conducted efficiently. Her professionalism and composure during high-pressure meetings consistently contribute to maintaining order and effectiveness. Beyond the responsibilities typically associated with the clerk's roles, Ms. Taniato goes above and beyond to facilitate effective communication between school board members, staff, and the public, often resolving questions and coordinating information in ways that save significant time and allow the school board to focus on governance and student achievement. She is dependable, proactive, responsive, and committed to supporting the work of the school board with neutrality and integrity. To support the school board's commitment to increase transparency for the public, Ms. Taniato helped develop the protocols for school board committees to now be broadcast and for committee agendas and minutes to be available on the school division's website. Ms. Taniato has taken on additional responsibilities related to the WCAG website accessibility requirements to ensure that the accessibility of school board minutes and materials. Her efforts have been strengthened communication with the public and improved access to important school board information. Her dedication to continuous growth is evident through her annual participation in the VSBA Clerk Conference and her commitment to staying informed on best practices, procedures, and compliance requirements. Finally, Ms. Taniato has earned the respect of every school board member through her consistency, professionalism, and collaboration. At the school board's most recent organizational meeting and during her reappointment, school board members overwhelmingly expressed their appreciation for her dedication. She approaches every task with care and has demonstrated an extraordinary level of commitment, including an attendance record that reflects her reliability and dedication to the school board and the community she serves. For these reasons, the school board of the City of Virginia Beach enthusiastically recommends Regina M. Taniato for the inaugural VSBA School Board Clerk of the Year Award. And so, and that one will be on consent, colleagues, and so I don't know if there's any further discussion that anyone wants to have, but thank you, Regina, for all of your hard work. And Ms. Melnick.
And this is why I love VSBA and the fact that they really focus on school boards across the Commonwealth and that they offer what they do to our clerks. And thank you, Regina, for participating every year in those. You're awesome. Thanks.
Ms. Felton?
I'd just like to say to Regina that there has been no task too small or too big, that you don't approach it, you approach it with humility and professionalism. Thank you so much. In my time of need, in my bereavement, you were there for me. Thank you so much. And you supported my every need that I needed. And when we had to come in and read books, you were there and so complimenting, giving us what we needed. Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. We are now on to the use of facilities proposed fee structure changes. And we welcome Steve Lepak, Risk Manager, Office of Risk Management.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Brown, Vice Chair Weems, school board members, and Dr. Robertson. Last school board meeting, I went over the fee structure changes, and I supplied you with some additional information that is in your packet. That packet consists of a comparison of other surrounding school divisions of what they charge from a school rental standpoint, plus one school division that's in similar size with us. And it shows you the previous and proposed pricing structure based on what their range is, and most other school divisions base their range on whether it's an elementary school, middle school, or high school. As our school division, we base it upon pricing structure of whether it's a nonprofit or a profit or a private commercial industry. The proposed rates, as you can see, are comparable. And in some cases, they're lower than neighboring school divisions. And plus, I'd also like to add that some of the school divisions charge for electricity, which we do not. Also in the your attachment packet, I gave you a current list of renters by group classification, of listing of all 5 groups that we have. And I proposed back some adjustments of some questions that was brought up at the last school board meeting, particularly in group 2, where we were recommending a charge of $25 a day for group 2 classification for grounds, and we are taking that advice and leaving it as is. Also, for the group 4, we are having a minimal rental of 4 hours for the churches, and because most churches are only there for 4 hours. The churches that are going to be there for longer, such as 8 and 10 hours, we're going to look at discounts for them because they're a longtime customer of ours, and if they're there that long, we'd like to show some support with that. So, with that being said, also there were a couple other items that were, or an email that I received, and I kind of want to bring this up, is that you wanted to get a rough understanding of what our revenue is right now and what our revenue would be if we implemented the new changes. In the month of March, we had a revenue of about $23,000. And if by chance we had those proposed prices in place, we would have about $32,000. So roughly looking at it, about a 38.6% increase in revenue minus the 10% that Facilitron takes. So you're looking at a 28.6% increase in revenue, but that is just a sample of 1 month. It could be higher, it could be a little lower moving forward. So. Any questions?
Vice Chair Weems?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you taking our comments and making those changes, because I think they were good positive changes, and it's nice to of course, we have to charge something, because of the maintenance and the custodial fees and everything, but it's nice to be a nice, fair partner to the community, and it's so wonderful. You gave us the list of all the organizations that use our buildings, and I didn't count them, but it's hundreds, probably a couple hundreds.
Yes.
So we are able to let the community use our buildings, and that's a good thing. So thank you so much.
All right.
Ms. Rogers?
I just wanted to be clear. So with our church services, you had proposed doing an hourly, but now you're going to go to a 4-hour block with one fee. That's
No, it will still be per hour fee, but a 4-hour block.
so, because it says here 4 hours and
A
then,
minimum of 4 hours.
right, and is that 300 for the 4 hours?
It is $75 per each hour still yet.
Okay.
And that
yeah.
would be 300 for the
Okay,
hour, yeah.
but because the way it's set up, and I knew we had talked about going hourly, so it's 75 per hour.
75 per hour.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mr. Callen?
When we spoke last, I had raised the issue of the 10% charge in reference to custodial overtime, and your answer just seemed to be, that's just the way
Well, I've
things
never asked.
go.
Yeah, and so I approached Facilitron about that, and what they did, they gave us the recommendations. Number one, I wanted to address this. They gave us our pricing recommendations to start off with. They compared us with 24 other school divisions that are similar to us in size and in the southeast area geographically, and that's how they came up with the average and came up with our stuff. And asking them about the custodial overtime, that is just a part of the 10%. They didn't really give me a reason. They just said that is part of the 10% of our revenue because they consider that revenue, and that's what they told me. And the thing about the 10% is, and I didn't bring it up last time, was that 10% that we are losing with Facilitron, there's a lot of wear and tear on our gym floors. There's a lot of wear and tear on our stadium turfs. And eventually this, and some organizations come in and use our equipment as well. So that fee will help offset that, be put back in the general fund and go to replacements. So, but to answer your question about the fee, they did not give me a reason, but I contacted other school divisions that are using Facilitron, and it's straight across the board with that.
And you're not a representative of Facilitron, you're a representative of the school system.
That is correct, sir.
So in light of that, going to bat on behalf of the school system, because the answers that you seem to be giving, or that have been given to you, strike me as non-answers. Just, that's the way things go, and when we compare it to other places, that happens in a similar way, so it's just part of the package, mister. So.
Well, the other thing that I'd like to say is when we looked at other school rental software companies, nobody out there did the 10%. They all gave us a straight annual fee that we had to do. And how our department looked at it, we looked at how much money we made and took 10% of that and then looked at their annual fee. And it was like, I would say close to $35,000 to $40,000 we are benefiting from going with Facilitron with the 10%, even with the custodial included.
So on behalf of the school system, you think this is a wise choice for us to make?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Green?
Thank you. And yes, I think it's a wise choice as well. Mr. LaPoc, I had flashback from our Plaza days when I was the administrator, Dr. Robertson, you know where I'm getting ready to go, of that building and all the community people that utilize that building. And Mr. LaPoc, I think you shortchanged yourself because there are a lot of hidden costs that you all are taking for granted that you don't see. He referenced the electricity, the water. We don't make people bring paper towels and toilet paper. No, seriously, we don't. Then cleaning, our custodial team who is being paid overtime because they're there on a weekend or after hours, they're using our school cleaning supplies to clean the facilities, to get it ready for instruction for the next day. So in the grand scheme of things, thank you. And this is from someone who has had the experience of having to approve and work with other departments to ensure we had the appropriate coverage. If you have certain groups, you have to check their liability, for risk. There are a lot of variables to this. And again, as I constantly say, we have to trust the practitioners who have the expertise for this. We don't.
Mr. Cummings?
Yeah, thank you so much for answering some of the questions that I had and providing some of the supplemental information for us in our packets today. I think just where the area that I struggle with a lot is just within Group 2 and potential price increases, because I see, and this is probably where I see a lot of the organizations in here, and I know from a nonprofit experience that, a lot of these folks don't have huge budgets. Basically they're nonprofit and name only, and I struggle with the cost increasing on some of these folks who are doing good work with our youth in our schools. And I tend to look at, is this a holistic experience for our community, in the sense that our buildings play a role of providing a safe place, before school, during school, but also after school. And I think that's, these nonprofits doing some of that work are doing good work. And I'm very hesitant to feel like I know what an increase on some of them would do, especially when budgets are strapped very tight. And so that's probably the biggest concern that I have for this proposal. I definitely understand, our groups 3 and groups 4, but where I'm feeling a little concerned about is Group 2, and I feel like this is a lot of new information personally for me, and I don't think there's not like a huge rush to vote on this. Is there, Dr. Robertson, is there a pressing reason for us to vote on it today?
Well, the prices are going into effect July 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how long, Steve, it would take you to get everything prepared to go live July 1, because we also want to signal we're going live July 1.
We would like to, it has been posted on the Facilitron website of the price increase that's coming, but nothing has been posted regarding dollar amounts. So time is of the essence. I'd like to get that out there and publicized to them for the individuals that feel that maybe that's out of my price range, or I got to look somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. And looking at your questions at Group 2, I mean, we currently, right now, the only areas we charge in Group 2 is $12.50 an hour currently in the gymnasium and the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And that is only raising to $15 an hour. And that is the only change that we have in Group 2. It's a very minimal group increase.
Yeah, I think about scale though, and weekly use and hourly use. And if groups have different, I just have to read through the list and more thorough just to kind of probably think through it a little more, especially if they have multiple sites. I think that's my concern. And I'd be curious just to hear from other board folks. I'm not going to propose anything radical, but if there's a push for some folks to think that we need to vote on this today, or if other members would prefer more time to kind of digest some of the current packet information that we received today. But that's all.
Mr. Culpepper?
Thanks for the adjustments you made here. My concerns were similar, primarily to Group 2. So your adjustment to remove the cost for grounds, I think is the right call. What constitutes grounds? I wanted to confirm, because you have classroom listed some other places. Does grounds in this line include classrooms?
No, classrooms are no charge, meaning that there's no change before.
Okay, whether
or
on there
the
before, not
proposal.
on there now, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to confirm that. I think my only other question is, increase in pricing is going to change how people use it, obviously. Do you have a plan to brief us again later on how this impacts usage and whether you think an adjustment can or should be made later on?
Well, you will be able to see it because I supplied Dr. Robertson with a monthly school facility use. You'll be able to see. Right now, typically, we average between 320 to 360 school rental applications a month.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see what the difference is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a long list you've provided here of who uses our facilities. All right. Thank you for the brief.
Ms. Dwyer?
Yeah, so that was, Mr. Culpepper took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was impressed with, the current renters, and they're all legit. I just had no idea. And
Yep.
I think they call this creative financing, or I don't know what you call it, but it's very creative, and I'm very impressed. And also, I think with the concerns of what my colleagues are concerned about, maybe for the nonprofit groups, you did say earlier with the churches, we're going to get a little creative. Maybe we can get a little creative with some of these nonprofit groups like the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. But great job. Thank you.
Okay.
So this one is on our agenda for action under B. And I appreciate everything that you've done to, take the board input. And I know it's not an easy task for sure. I'm actually, and I understand the concerns with group 2, and I'm having some mixed feelings here about group 3, community, nonprofit. I mean, we have Hampton Roads Vipers fast pitch softball, pony baseball, Plaza Little League, Princess Anne Little League. A lot of our students are served by a lot of these things. Moving down in our community, Al-Anon family groups for family and friends that have loved ones that are experiencing alcoholism, and that might be helpful and beneficial for people in the community. And so I'm really struggling. I'll make a decision, but I am struggling with that. I just don't think that there's any, great way to raise a rate, but my math shows me that we're looking at about $108,000 annually if everything was to remain equally. Is that accurate?
That should be about correct, yeah.
Okay. And you said that those funds would go into the general fund, or would those?
It would go back into the general fund and then distributed out as needed for replacement costs.
Okay, because my preference would be that those funds would be utilized, for facility maintenance, so that that's what we're doing with it. So, all right, Mr. Cummings.
I just had a quick question. So when you talk about negotiating special rates with long-term and, long-term stakeholders, Dr. Robertson, is that something that school board policy guides or that we need to vote on as well if pricing deviates from what's before us?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Steve was saying he was going to deviate from.
No, not deviate from the actual, but we're going to
Cost
look,
structure.
we're going to look at some of the churches that are there for 10 to 12 hours a day could prove to be costly for them because the majority of all the churches are only there for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you do the 10-hour, it is because they're using, say, 7 classrooms at $25 an hour for each classroom. Looking at that, is something that we really need to maybe evaluate or stand pat with. That's what I kind of wanted to bring it up to the school board to see what you guys thought.
I mean, does that have to be spelled out, you think, before we vote? Like,
or we just stay with the current cost structure of where we have it.
Yeah. That's all my questions. I was just kind of curious about what, was hearing a little more about unpacking that.
I also just need to correct this. Apparently, Al-Anon Family Groups is in Group 4, so there would be no changes to that one. So the other community stuff that I was mentioning, that one is not included.
Well, these are the groups that they are listed at right now. There's going to be changes with that, with the new system, because some groups will go to 3, some groups will go to 2, based on if they have a nonprofit designation. If we don't receive a 501(c) from them, we do not list them as a nonprofit, even though their website says they're a nonprofit.
Just a reminder, you need to be careful in favoring some groups over another, so we don't have discrimination allegations. So while you may favor one group, if they've classified and they meet the classifications on there. And I will say, as Mr. Pock has pointed out, a lot of times people say they're nonprofit, but they haven't actually filed. They have to file with the state and the level. They don't actually meet that designation. So although they consider themselves nonprofit, they're doing the right thing and checking so they don't get that nonprofit status.
Thanks. And I most certainly wasn't. I just labeled them incorrectly and it shifted right there. So, Ms. Rogers, did you already speak on this topic? Okay, I just wanted to make sure if I was going in order still that I wasn't skipping over anyone. So Ms. Dwyer, then Ms. Rogers.
So the prices that we have right now, these are effective now. And you said there was a chance that they could change? Or there is a potential somewhere down the road that the prices would change? Did I hear that right, or did I hear that wrong?
You heard that wrong.
Okay.
The proposed pricing structure is set for July 1st.
Okay, so it's
what we
July
currently
1st.
have versus to our new pricing structure.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers?
Okay, so when you're talking about some places, some renters having a very long day in our building, perhaps we could consider doing a cap on the hours. So after 7 hours, 8 hours, then there's no more charges.
There's no more additional.
So that would then not specify a specific entity, but it then specifies time for all entities. Does that make sense? So we're not charging after a set amount of time. Once you hit that mark, the clock stops ticking. So this way, any entity that's in group 4, whatever group, we're doing hourly. So then maybe after 8 hours, then you've hit your cap, how much you have to pay. You know, like at a parking garage, it's so much for 1 hour, so much for 2 hours. Once you hit a certain amount of hours, then you don't pay anymore. So maybe we can consider that, so we're not charging, if someone needs the place for 10 hours, that we're not continually running up the bill.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, I don't see any further questions. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we are now on to the consent agenda. So we have budget transfers, Kempsville Middle School Foundation Repair Phase 2, and the VSBA recognition that I read for Regina. I'm sorry, our clerk. Are there any objections to the school board voting on the consent agenda as presented? Seeing none, I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Ms. Dwyer, seconded by Ms. Rogers. I call for the vote to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So, Madam Chair, we have 11 ayes. The motion did pass for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. We are now on to the personnel report and administrative appointments. Do we have a motion to approve the personnel report and administrative appointments? Moved by Ms. Melnick, seconded by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote on the personnel report.
So, Madam Chair, we have 11 ayes. The motion did pass for the approval of the personnel report and administrative appointments.
Thank you. Dr. Robertson, do you have any administrative appointments this evening?
I do. 'Tis the season of change, and we bring forward a strong slate tonight. We'll start with Jordan Barbarisi. Jordan is currently an admin assistant at White Oaks and Woodstock Elementary School, and we're pleased you've approved our recommendation for Jordan to be the next assistant principal at Indian Lakes Elementary School. Next up, we have Kevin Crossman, currently an admin assistant at Kempsville Middle School. We're pleased you've approved our recommendation for him to be the next assistant principal at Brandon Middle School. Next up, we got Nada Zenadine, or Dr. Zenadine, currently an admin assistant at Larkspur Middle School, and we're pleased you've accepted our recommendation for her to be the next assistant principal at Salem Middle School. Next up, we have Michelle Brown, currently an assistant principal at Treacle Elementary School in Chesapeake Public Schools, who's coming to Virginia Beach to be the next coordinator of special education in the Office of Programs for Exceptional Children. Next, we have Lauren Girdler, currently the itinerant principal at Southeastern Cooperative Education Program, CSEP, and we're pleased that you've accepted our recommendation for her to also be a coordinator in special education in the Office of Programs for Exceptional Children. Next up, we have Dr. Daniel Miani, currently the principal at First Colonial High School, and we're pleased that you've accepted our recommendation for Dr. Miani to be the next Chief Academic Officer in the Department of Teaching and Learning. And then finally, we welcome Mr. Benjamin Oakes, or Captain Oakes, retired commanding officer, amphibious warship, USS New York battleship, who's coming to us to be the next Chief Operations Officer in the Department of School Division Services. And that concludes our recommendations.
Okay, thank you. We are now on to committee organization and board reports. Do any board members?
Madam Chair, we have another action item.
Oh, yes, we do. Okay. I call for a motion to approve the use of facilities proposed fee structure changes as presented. Moved by Ms. Melnick, seconded by Mr. Culpepper. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote to approve the proposed fee structure changes as presented.
So, Madam Chair, we have 10 ayes and 1 nay, so the motion did pass for the fees.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on to committee organization and board reports. And Dr. Green.
Thank you. I have two things. The week before last, right after the last board meeting, I had an opportunity to attend an event over at Betty F. Williams, the Betty F. Williams Legacy Celebration. And the group that sponsored the event, they were former teachers, students, staff at the original Betty F. Williams. And I even had an opportunity to meet the great-nephews of Mrs. Williams. And part of what the group did that day, we all read to 4th and 5th grade classes. And I've already mentioned to Dr. Robertson the concerns of my community with regards to how we're going to continue to preserve the legacy of Mrs. Williams and mirroring that with the other concerns that we heard this evening. So, Dr. Robertson, we have a whole lot of work to do, don't we, for District 4 and making sure we align some things. The second item, last Wednesday, I had an opportunity to go to the Adult Learning Center to attend the English language learners acquisition program. And these are our adult learners who come to the United States and they're not fluent in English, but they become fluent in English. And one of the things that impressed me with how they did the ceremony this year is, in addition to telling us their native country, they also share what their career paths were in their native countries. So we have a crop now of doctors, lawyers, engineers. And I was thinking, wow, how can we help these new learners, English acquisition learners, partner with similar careers so that they now can use their English to learn, because we have a shortage of doctors. It takes you, a year to get an appointment, and if you're seeing a specialist, it may be as longer, or engineers. So I would love to see something down the road that, we can maybe do some type of partnership where these new English mastery students can continue with their field of study that they brought to the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cummings?
Yes, this past Friday, I had the wonderful and delightful opportunity to leave the city that elected me in Virginia Beach and travel north to Norfolk to go to the first annual GSA Art Crawl. And I had so much fun. And I love how it's the first annual. But I cannot express how great it was to walk around and see our students' art on display, but not just our students from the entire Hampton Roads region with folks that go to the school. So I asked my colleagues, bookmark this for next year, as it's going to be an annual thing. You're walking around Norfolk and going in and just looking at some of the art students created, talking to them, learning what they're doing with their next steps in life. Several of them are going to art school. Another one's going to a military academy. And I just had some great conversations. It's amazing to see just the creative aspect and what the recognition said earlier about our elementary art teacher, how she inspires creativity in our students. To see that manifest in the 12th grade year of our students is a phenomenal experience. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the GSA, their first art crawl, and for folks to bookmark it for next time around.
Thank you. Ms. Melnick?
Thank you, Mr. Cummings, for that lovely plug for our Governor's School of the Arts students, or as Dr. Shelley calls them, our wonderful humans. It is an amazing place. We have our final board meeting for GSA and CSEP on Tuesday for this school year. And as Mr. Cummings put it, please bookmark some of the events that they have every year. So as we come to a close, and it might be too late, there's a few more. Look, if there's anything you want tickets to, please let me know. It's not a problem. We will get you those tickets, and then consider it for next year. There are so many events that happen all year. I mean, it is full of events, and I speak for Dr. Shelley when I say, please let us know if there's something you want to see. You will be amazed. You will love it. It will be time well spent, and we will give you the tickets. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers?
So last week it was Ms. Felton and I were able to go to the Brickell celebration for our Brickell scholars. It was amazing. We got to celebrate the 2026 Brickell Scholarship winner and then meet the new batch of Brickell Scholarship nominees who are called Brickell Babies. And they will be working really hard in the next year. They're juniors, going to be seniors. They'll be working all year on trying to grab that amazing Brickell Scholarship. And I just want to thank ODS for hosting, as well as the kids at Salem for catering. They did an amazing job, as always. And I also want to tell all of our assigned schools to please reach out to us and invite us to all the things, because we love coming and we love celebrating with you and all the students.
Vice Chair Weems?
Yes, last week I attended the Gifted Advisory Committee. They're working on their annual plan that they will be presenting to us in the near future. Also, Thursday, day after tomorrow, is the PRC meeting at 3:00. And then I will be attending the Harbor Hope Center Board of Directors Regional Meeting on the 20th.
And I also attended the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting, and they were informed at that meeting by staff here that these coordinator positions might be filled at this meeting, so they're going to be really happy to hear that we have filled those, and they are also working on what to present here to the board as well. So, Dr. Green.
And I forgot that today, Mrs. Woodhouse and I attended the last board meeting for the school year for the Access Foundation. And last week, we had our big college signing day at Old Dominion at the Ted Constant Center. And our Virginia Beach own Timberland was the guest.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And Vice Chair Weems is going to read us back into close. We have a couple things left to finish up.
I move that the school board recess into closed session in accordance with the exceptions to open meetings law set forth in Code of Virginia 2.2-3711, Part A, paragraphs 1, 2, 7, 8, as amended to deliberate on the following matters. 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluation of performance of departments or schools of public institutions of higher education where such evaluation will necessarily involve discussion of the performance of specific individuals. Any teacher shall be permitted to be present during a closed meeting in which there is a discussion or consideration of a disciplinary matter that involves the teacher and some student, and the student involved in the matter is present, provided that the teacher makes a written request to be present to the presiding officer of the appropriate board. Nothing in this subdivision, however, shall be construed to authorize a closed meeting by a local governing body or an elected school board to discuss the compensation matters that affect the membership of such body or board collectively. Number 2, discussion or consideration of admission or disciplinary matters or any other matters that would involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record concerning any student of any public institution of higher education in the Commonwealth or any state school system. However, any such student, legal counsel, and if the student is a minor, the student's parents or legal guardians shall be permitted to be present during the taking of testimony or presentation of evidence at a closed meeting if such student, parents, or guardians so request in writing, and such request is submitted to the presiding officer of the appropriate board. 7, consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meetings would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of this public body. For the purposes of this subdivision, probable litigation means litigation that has been specifically threatened or on which the public body or its legal counsel has a reasonable basis to believe will be commenced by or against a known party. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. 8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter, namely to discuss A, personnel matters related to VDOE investigation, B, pending student matters, C, determination regarding student discrimination complaint appeal, D, status of pending litigation or administrative cases, E, consultation with legal counsel regarding probable litigation and pending litigation matters.
Okay, motion's made by Vice Chair Weems, seconded by Ms. Melnick. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote to go into closed session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 ayes, so the motion did pass to go into closed session.
Are we ready?
Yep, she just said we're ready. Whereas the school board of the city of Virginia Beach has convened a closed meeting on this day pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, whereas in section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board of the city of Virginia Beach hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Okay, motion is made by Ms. Dwyer. Second by Mr. Bowensteel, and this is for the certification of closed session. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote to certify closed session. You weren't in there for the whole thing.
So, Madam Chair, we have 9 ayes and 2 abstentions. The motion did pass for certification of closed session.
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Linetti, Vice Chair Weems is wondering if she can read the school and the resolution.
The name of the school. Should I?
You can read it because it's not enough to identify.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, all right.
Whereas on March 10th, 2026, the parents of a Great Neck Middle School student filed a complaint alleging discrimination, harassment, and retaliation regarding a student discipline matter in November through December of 2026. And whereas on April 3rd, 2026, the school administration issued an investigation report regarding the parents' complaint and concluded that there was not sufficient evidence to support a finding of discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. However, the investigation report did recommend remedial measures to address the parents' concern. And whereas on May 12th, 2026, the school board reviewed the investigation report and supporting evidence. Now, therefore, be it determined, 1, that the school board has determined that this matter should be submitted to a hearing officer to hold a hearing and to provide the school board with findings of fact and recommendations regarding the parents' complaint no later than June 3rd, 2026. 2, that the school board attorney or designee will retain the hearing officer and work with the hearing officer to set the date, time, and conditions for the hearing. 3, that the school administration is ordered to notify the parents and student of this decision and to place a copy of this decision, the supporting documentation, and any recording of the hearing in the student's official files. Adopted by the school board of the city of Virginia Beach, Virginia, this 12th day of May, 2026.
Motion made by Ms. Rogers, seconded by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call for the vote on the motion read by Vice Chair Weems. Sorry, the resolution read by Vice Chair Weems.
So, Madam Chair, we have 9 ayes and 2 abstentions, so the motion did pass.
Great, thank you. It is 8:36 p.m. and we are adjourned.